handling my business so then I can set myself up for the rest of my career and be able to do those types of things.
Yeah.
But I can sacrifice when I need to sacrifice, and I can go out and be social when I need to be social.
Right.
And that's the hardest part of this job is the balance. I mean, and that's the balance in our career as well. It's a part.
This exam kind of proves our true potential and what we can do, what we can achieve. And I feel like if you could pass the CFP.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to CFP Talks. My name is Jonas, and with me, as always, is Mr. Raman Singh. Raman, what's going on?
It's going, man. The CFP exam is right around the corner. So students are, they need a lot of encouraging words from us at this point. So just trying to make sure that they're aligned, they're focused, and not just kind of deviating that focus. Because a lot of them, as you see, like they get all stressed out, they get boggled down, start like questioning themselves. It's kind of like, dude, chill, just focus on the process.
Hard. It's hard. When you're in it, it's the hardest thing because you are feeling all of those feelings and it feels like your head's going to explode half the time.
Yeah,
And it is, I think it's one of the unsung things about CFP that separates you from the rest of the pack. It's why you're doing this exam. It's not just, I know the material, but I can actually perform under pressure.
yeah,
I can focus when everybody else is out and barbecuing on 4th of July and drinking beers and getting drunk. I'm inside handling my business so then I can set myself up for the rest of my career and be able to do those types of things.
yeah.
But I can sacrifice when I need to sacrifice, and I can go out and be social when I need to be social.
Right.
And that's the hardest part of this job is the balance. I mean, and that's the balance in our career as well. It's a
It,
part.
it, it you know, it this exam kind of proves our true potential and what we can do, what we can achieve. And I feel like if you could pass the CFP exam, and because you had the diligence, you had the structure, you could apply that similar type of structure and the diligence, and pretty much do anything. You want to build a practice, you can do it. You want to be good at teaching CFP, you could do it. I mean, that it just shows that you're disciplined.
I think there's always that nod when you see somebody else with those letters that you've been through it.
Yeah.
You know it. You kind of give them that one. Like, I know what I'm talking about because no matter what, we all had to put in early mornings and late nights and deal with the stress of balancing our lives on top of studying for the exam and having to balance those things out, which is, the exam is stressful enough on its own, but now mixing that into your day-to-day life, it's very difficult.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So, one of the things that, we are right around the corner from the exam. We're, I believe, roughly 1 week out today.
Mhm.
So with that in mind, if you had to tell your CFP students one thing and one thing only, what would it be?
I got four letters.
All right. He's got 99 problems.
Got 99 problems. RTFQ. That's it.
Can you tell us what that is, Roman? For,
PG-13 or lay it all out.
lay it all out, baby.
Read the fucking question.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Joe, I have had students who they were doing such a good job on studying, and tutoring was great, and they were able to explain stuff to me so well. But they were lacking the most. They were just reading the question way too fast. Like, and you know what? And that caused them to either, fail their practice test, or in some cases, like fail the actual CFP exam
Hmm.
because they did not read the question properly. You know, the CFP board is not going to give you bonus points if you finish this test in 3.5 hours. And congrats to those who have finished this test in 3.5 hours and passed. And you know how we kind of do that bell curve that we always talk about. You know, if you pass this test in 3.5 hours it's because you're an anomaly at that point.
Yeah, you're a superstar.
Yeah,
Good
good for
for
you.
you.
Good for you. But the easiest thing you can do to gradually or to drastically improve your score and giving you a higher probability of passing the exam is read the freaking question.
Okay, so tell us what that means because it sounds very simple on the surface, but if we're gonna break it down, what does that mean more specifically?
Yeah. I'm looking on the side right now. I'm like, you know what? Let me try to see if I could find a question
Hmm,
just so I can kind of explain what I mean by that. But
yeah.
you know what students do is they'll read a question, and Bob Smith is 46 years old and he's got a wife who's 44 years old and he's got a kid at just 12 years old and they're worried about their college and they have debt and this, that, and that, and they start reading. And guess what they do right away? The students, they'll start going into the answer choices.
Hmm,
I mean, we're talking reading through an entire question that's 4 sentences long and then immediately reading A, B, C, D. And it's kind of like, what did you, that was just word vomit.
yeah. And
Like,
it's an easy thing to do,
easy thing to do.
right? And I agree with that. It's an easy thing to do to jump right into the answers and start answering the question before you finish reading the question, right? Because you kind of start and you got to fight your instincts a little bit on this because in general when you look at a question that looks very similar, you almost kind of start solving it prior to reading the question.
Yeah,
So if I've seen this education question play out, okay, now I'm jumping into my 4 steps, right? I got to figure this out, and then I got to figure out that, and then I got to figure out that, and then I go to answer the question, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't figure it out. And all the question was asking is, how much does freshman year of college cost? And you're like, oh
right.
my God, I can't believe I did all this extra work and I didn't read the question. It's a very simple thing to do. To me,
Just that.
I'm gonna take it a step further as you are, especially in this last week, as you're wrapping it up, your pace has to be identical on every exam that you take. Identical. So I don't care if it's 25 questions, I don't care if it's a 10 question or 85, or even if you're doing the full 170. Rehearse in the way that you're going to take the exam. Because if you're all over the place in your prep, you're going to be all over the place in the exam. There is no magic that happens on exam day other than you're going to be full of adrenaline, you're going to be full of nervous energy. And so if you're all over the place, now add nervous energy and now you're really all over the place.
Yeah,
But if you have a pace and you have a strategy for going into the exam, and now you know your pace, even if you get sped up because of your nervous energy, by question 15 or 20, you're going to settle into the exam.
yeah,
Those nerves will eventually wear off, and they'll wear off faster if I know my plan and even I know what I'm doing. I did this on my practice exams and I really kind of believed in this process. And again, even if you're fighting your own self-doubt or self-beliefs that I can't do this, have a strategy because it'll help you get over that hump. Because if you start performing better and better, you're going to believe in yourself more and more,
yeah. You
right?
know, one thing I do tell my students is as you're reading the question, understand the scenario, run it in your mind. Be like, okay, Bob is 46 years old. He's got a wife who's 44 years old. They have a kid who's 12 years old. They're worried about college savings. You can start processing that in your mind as you're reading the question that, okay, you know what? This question is right now is referring to college savings. They probably want to, and it's okay, like as you're reading it, but then they start talking about, okay, he's worried about dying. Now you can mentally tell your mind that, okay, you know what? It's talking about death at the same time as well. And then as you're reading this question, you're dissecting the question as you go. And
Hmm,
the key thing when it comes, we talk about RTFQ, it's more like dissecting what you're reading,
hmm,
right? Because reading the freaking questions or RTFQ simply just says, hey, slow down so you could dissect what the question is really asking you. And you just said it earlier, just now, finish reading the question. So FTRQ, right? So RTFQ and FTRQ. read the freaking question, and finish reading the question so you can understand it and dissect it. Because the moment we're able to dissect the question, we completely understand and we're aware of what next steps we need to do,
Right.
which gives us more confidence at that point in answering our questions.
Right. And remember, if you're kind of sitting there going, well, what does this have to do with being a CFP? It has everything to do with this being a CFP. Because if you start listening to your client and then you're furiously writing notes and you're not listening to them, you might be putting together a proposal that doesn't even address their concerns.
Yeah,
So it's the same thing as when we are sitting in front of a client, we are wholly listening, and then we are listening and responding and then making notes. So, because if we're missing key elements, then we're going to provide an incomplete plan that doesn't address the needs of the client. And these are simple, fundamental, basic skills.
100%.
You need to be able to listen, you need to be able to read through and answer the question at hand, not the question that you saw in your practice, not the question that I want to answer. Ooh, I worked so hard on this. I got this. It took me 20 tries to get this, and now I want to answer it. I'm
Mm-mm.
sorry, that's not what the exam is going to ask you to do. No matter how excited you are about answering a question on estate planning because you finally got it, or you finally figured out how to do the retirement calculation because and it was plaguing you for months. The exam doesn't care.
Right.
The exam doesn't care about what you were struggling with. The exam wants you to answer the question. So if you're going in already biased on what you want to answer, you're going to miss a lot of easy ones,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And take all the easy ones that you possibly can, because if the exam is handing you layups, make them layups. Don't make them trick shots,
Right.
right? So, and a lot of that is just simply reading and keeping your cool, right? I don't get high with the highs, and you guys know that this is an exam of runs, right? So you're going to have 15 questions in a row that you're like, boom, boom, got it, got it. Oh man, this
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
easy. And then you get to this stretch of card questions, you're like, holy crap, I don't know anything. You can get high with those highs because you're gonna have, stretches of 10 or 12 questions that you're gonna feel really good about. And then you're
Yep.
gonna have stretches of 10 or 12 questions that you don't feel really good about, where you're gonna feel like, oh my God, I must have gotten those last 20 in a right row. But remember, we look at the averages. We want you to get 7 out of every 10 right, not 20 out of 20 right. The
Right.
idea is that over time, that will average out. You're going to have good stretches and you're going to have bad stretches where it feels like every question is an uphill battle. You stick to your pace, you stick to your plan. You'll get through. You got to stick to that plan.
I I think that's the best way to sum it all up, right? If you stick to your pace, you read the freaking question, you finish reading the question, and you're processing what the question is asking rather than just reading through the question and the answer choices and just start, dissecting it. It's gonna change the game. I'll give you a quick example. So I'm watching rewatching this show called Better Call Saul. I'm sure you're probably aware of it, like the spinoff of Breaking Bad.
It's a great
And
show.
last night I watched an episode where the young attorneys is talking to these older folks, and she's using like a lot of technical jargon and trying to explain this stuff to like a group of people, and these people are like lost in the sauce. And then the senior attorney comes up and says, "Hey, great job, young one, move." And then he just simplified things where he connected with the people, and then the people were like, "Wow." He said the same thing, but in a different angle. But what he did was he interpreted the whole situation and simplified it. And that's the whole idea behind RTFQ is if you just read the question as a problem and just throw up, you're not really trying to understand what the question is.
Mm,
If you read the question and try to dissect the question as you're reading it and you have a constant pace, you're able to elaborate it in a much simplified manner where it'll give you a higher probability of answering the question correctly.
yeah, I love that show, by the way.
Dude, this is a great show. I'm
Are
on
you
like
are you talking
last.
about that the
Saul Goodman.
where he's the one who's babysitting him when he gets that like big lawyer job.
So that girl, yes, yes,
Davidson,
yes,
Maine.
yes, yeah, that
Davidson,
intern.
Maine.
Yeah, 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 yes, exactly. That girl, yes. I know
Yes.
that's the same exact girl. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what it is. You like that show, man, don't you?
Breaking Bad to me is one of the best shows.
Yeah,
And
I
better, I think
actually
Better
went
Call Saul
back.
is better.
Say that again.
I think Better Call Saul is better.
Yes, I would agree with that. So I actually went back to watching Breaking Bad. Then I watched El Camino, the movie of Jesse Pinkman, and then I picked up back on Better Call Saul. So kind of building a full timeline out of that.
Poor Jesse.
Got nothing else to do, man, right now.
Poor Jesse.
Yeah, I know. I feel like Jesse's life sucked so bad. Like looking back, I felt so bad for that kid.
He never makes good decisions.
He just never made good.
He never makes good decisions.
Yeah, but like all
He
that stuff
never
that
re
happened,
Don't be like Jesse Pinkman. Read the
don't be
question.
like Jesse Pinkman and read the freaking question, man.
All right, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this video. Good luck on the CFP exam.
Let's
If this is
go.
the last video that you watch, we are rooting for you.
Yes.
Keep your cool, keep your discipline. Don't overdo it this week. And we will see you on the other side of this exam. Good luck. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you guys on our next episode.